Hey guys, Kevin here. So yesterday in my video I talked about how the left have this mantra of never let a crisis go to waste. And they don't. The left are a revolutionary movement. I talk all the time about how we on the right have been a reactionary movement and we need to become a revolutionary movement. We need to do what they do, follow some of their tactics. And one thing they do is they exploit crisis to push through their agenda. They're always pushing. They don't wait to react like we do. They push, push, push. And when there's a situation like the one we're in, they think nobody's watching and they go full steam. They try to push through everything they can as quickly as possible. One of the ways they've been doing this is in our academic system. They've been using our current crisis to try to push through things that normally parents would protest, and even many students would protest. And this is one of the things that disgusts me about our enemies on the left. They target young kids, they target these naive children because they can't win with adults. They intentionally get into our school systems to prey on children. And that disgusts me. And it disgusts me that we may have to do the same sort of thing to try to change the balance in this country. But sadly, they have no scruples about this. And one of the ways they are trying to entrench themselves even further in academia and trying to destroy the country using academia is by eliminating grades. They want to destroy all semblance of a meritocracy. Now, we've seen the decline in the universities over this past several years, and this idea of eliminating grades is not a new one. But it's something that has picked up steam recently, like within the last 6 months. And it all started with an appearance on Fox Business by the Marxist economist, Dr. Richard Wolff. Now, to me, guys, Marxist economist is very oxymoronic because Marxism destroys economies. But let's see what he had to say.
Should we be abolishing grades in school? Professor Richard Wolff says yes, we should. Why? Because grades promote meritocracy and uphold capitalism. In an op-ed titled, "Grades Are Capitalism in Action, Let's Get Them Out of Our Schools," Wolff argues, quote, "Grading has little educational payoff for students. It disrespects them as thinking people."
Well, there you have it, guys. It disrespects them as thinkers. The problem is that, of course, they are not thinkers. In fact, because of left-wing agendas that have been pushed through over the last several years, there's no critical thinking being taught in our public school systems. They are continuously lowering standards for admission. They are changing admission standards for certain demographics to try to get more people of that demographic into STEM fields. This is part of a left-wing agenda to, feminize or deconstruct the STEM fields. They are trying to lower testing standards, lowering scores for certain groups while raising scores for other groups, giving people hardship points. And the left have done this with very little resistance. They've pushed these things through, part of their agenda to get a complete control over our educational systems. And now with our current crisis, they are not letting it to go to waste. They are trying to push through a new agenda. In an attempt to exploit our current situation, many far-left subversive professors are renewing calls for the abolishment of our ABCD traditional grading system. In fact, several universities have already done so, using the current shutdown as an excuse. The fact is that we know how the left operate. They are saying that this is a temporary solution, exchanging traditional grades with a pass-fail system. But the left are like horny high school kids on prom night. They think that if they can slip just a little bit in, then they will be able to screw us after that. Now, many left-wing professors are trying to go much further. Far-left professors across the country right now are working with far-left student groups to organize protests and create petitions demanding that universities permanently suspend traditional grading. One such professor is Adam Rosenblatt Stein Greenberg Rothschild Cohen. I'm joking. His name's Adam Rosenblatt, and he is a professor here at Duke University in my beloved home state of North Carolina. Well, actually, it's my home state. It's not my beloved home state. My beloved home state is Louisiana. To me, the people up here, even though it's the South, they're still Yankees. It's a little too purplish red for my taste, but I digress. I like the state, don't get me wrong. Rosenblatt authored an article for the Duke newspaper in which he called for the abolition of traditional grading, saying that emergency thinking suggests that grades are a temporary inconvenience, something that should be let go of when conditions are not ideal, when they don't allow for fairness or objectivity. The problem is that fairness and objectivity have never existed. Abandoning grades for an emergency only reinforces the myth that they did. Traditional grading is one of the Academy's most pervasive and unquestioned forms of structural injustice. Grading exacerbates inequalities that students bring with them into the classroom. These include educational inequalities, which often fall along racial lines due to school segregation that continues in the U.S., as well as against people with disabilities and neurodivergence of various kinds. That's right, neurodivergence. So basically, grading stops retarded people from going to college. Is that what they're saying? We should just let everybody who's neurodivergent into our prestigious academies? Well, that's what they want, right? They want everybody to be brought down to the lowest level. That's what socialism is. That's what Marxism is. You don't lift people up to the top. You don't let some people excel and lift other people up in the process. You bring everyone down to the lowest level of the low. That's why, everybody in Venezuela is poor now, except for the political class. That's why everybody in Cuba is making $30 a month, except for, of course, the military, the dictatorship, the people who are the upper level bureaucrats. But yeah, I love that neurodivergence, who, if they wanted to do the work, wouldn't be able to do the work because they're not smart enough. We let them all into school, and this concept only shines a spotlight on something that we on the right have been saying for a long time, that our universities are no longer academic institutions. They have become indoctrination camps. They have become extended babysitting services that indoctrinate kids to go along with the party line. And that's why they want as many as possible, and they don't care if they're smart or not. And this is a shame, because if our colleges were actual academic institutions, their goal would be to shape the future leaders of America, to create a strong youth that would go out into the workforce, into the free market, and do what's best for society, shape our society, and create a better world for everyone, including themselves. That's generally what, a young person should want, to have a better future. And they have destroyed that opportunity. And the only way that we can really get around this without, more drastic circumstances is that we do the same. We send our kids to these schools as subversive agents. We get them in there. We tell them, look, you're going to hear a lot of stuff. Ignore it. This is how the world is. This is what you need to do. And we get them to go into these schools and undermine them from within. Film their Marxist professors. There's a webpage out there called Film Your Marxist Professor. It's full of videos to expose these people. Of course, exposing them now doesn't seem to be enough, and they will use any opportunity, especially opportunities like this current situation we're in, to further their agenda. And they're going after every level of education. We see it with young kids now with things like Drag Queen Story Hour. It's so disgusting and pervasive. They're going after the law schools. Heck, a lot of these law schools are abolishing grades. Right now, as I speak, they're grading students on different scales. Berkeley Law was one of them. Cornell Law is another. One of these schools actually said the solution is ungrading. They called it ungrading, and they said that students should have a different system, either a peer evaluation system where other students judge each other, or a self-evaluation system. That's right, guys. Everybody gets a trophy generation, you know, the meme. Yeah, well, imagine those people who all got participation trophies. Now they get to give themselves a trophy. So, you know, why don't they just make themselves all Nobel Peace Prize winners? Give themselves all honorary engineering degrees. You know, don't worry about grades. You're just an engineer now. Go ahead and build the bridge that we're all going to drive on. And that's, you know, that's what you see in socialist countries. The country where my wife is from, it's like that. You know, they have no standards whatsoever in many of these public universities there, and they suffer for it greatly. I'm afraid of going down there. I'm afraid for her mother right now. You go in the hospital there, you go in some of those hospitals, and you don't walk out. So, yeah, that's what we have to look forward to. So, you know, either we start taking drastic action, our kids might protest, but you know what? We need to start helping decide their future for them, or we're going to end up not having a future for them to have or for them to enjoy. So, you know, that's the options now. Enough's enough. And, you know, if things get bad enough, especially with the situation we're in, maybe there's other solutions. Maybe we do what happened in my wife's country when the left-wing Marxists went too far. All of the professors got a failing grade, one by one. They started failing out, if you know what I mean. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and share. See you later.